thanks for tuning in. This is John with canvslessons.com, and today what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through the tools that I use on a daily basis. It's not a lot of money and it's not a lot of equipment, and I want to show you exactly what I use just to make every project that you're ever going to see on canvslessons.com. There literally isn't any special type of tools that I'm not going to show you. So we'll go through it and we'll maybe put some of these prices together and see how much money it's going to cost you to get rolling in this business. Okay, a lot of the stuff you might already have, but this is what I use. That's a console, and that's a 255 RB3 machine, and literally there's a couple of bobbins, a couple of little screwdrivers, and then the only attachment that I use is a 3/4 inch binding attachment, and that's not a fold away one. This one I actually have to unscrew it and take it off, but that's the only attachment that I use. Other than that, it's just a sewing machine. I'm gonna say that with this, and then underneath here is a servo motor, and those typically are bought a little bit separate than the machine and the table itself. But all together, you can get this brand new for about $1,500. You can go online and buy these things pretty much all day long for $300 or $400. There's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of commercial people out there. And then what we've got is just a tote tray. And on a tote tray and a drill, this is just a basic drill, a basic tote box. And what I use is these little Home Depot bags that I put all of my fasteners and stuff in, so when I go to the boat, I've got those, and I can add the snaps in that. And then just normal screwdrivers, and then up here at the top, those are my employees, just clamps. That way I can do this stuff all by myself. You don't need any type of help. You can use clamps. And then I get these tote trays, and I just keep my snaps and fasteners, fittings, screws. Just basic stuff. There's nothing in here that that's worth anything. This one I put extra tools in, extra drill bits, stuff like that. Here's a specialty tool. This is called a quick fit. Now these things are they just have little brass tacks on them that you snap onto the snap, and then I can help you push the canvas down over it and make so the canvas fits. And I just use this little medicine bottle thing to hold it. And then I use a lot of these little stick pins, 2.5, 3 inch stick pins. And there's a popper gun, and there's a hacksaw. And then down here, these are pins that I use, while I'm doing patterning and scribing, basic $1.99 stuff. And then we got tape. There's two types of tape. One is a 3/4 inch or 1 inch strapping tape that I use for holding frames up. And then if you've seen any of these videos, this is our double-sided sticky tape or transfer tape that we use a lot for these types of products. So then you got I got a chalk pencil, a grease pencil, a number 2 pencil, and then Sharpie markers, and then a pencil sharpener for the grease pencil, or not the grease pencil, the chalk pencil and the number 2. And then of course you got a razor knife. That's pretty basic. Here's some specialty stuff, but it's not really that special. These are common sense fasteners. I don't know if you can see that or not, but that's for knocking out a hole for a common sense fastener. The other one's for knocking out a hole for a lift-a-dot, which are two different types of snaps that we use besides the regular, cap and socket snap guns. So, I have 2 of those just so I can have 2 different dies in them without changing them. But you can get all the dies for one set, so you only need one. These things typically cost about, I think they're about $80, something like that. And then you got these. This is also, it's the same thing. That lift the dot and common sense. These are punches that I have, for just punching it out. It's a lot quicker. You don't need these things, and these are expensive too. I think they may be like $80 a piece. No, they're more than that. I don't know how much they are, but these things are quite expensive. But you don't need those. You can get these things for $20. and you can just, use a punch pad and a hammer and punch it out, and just do regular grommets. So these tools I use all the time, but that's not something that you really need. And then we've got our rulers. You can see here the first one is this is a 6 foot, 2 inch wide 6 foot. Then I've got a 2 inch wide 48 inch and a 1 inch wide 36 inch. And then this is a clear 4 inch by 36 inch ruler with all the markings on it. It's even got angles and stuff on there. That thing's pretty cool. And then this one's 18 inches by 2 inches that I use daily. And then you got a T-square and then a big drywall square. And all of these rulers you can buy at Home Depot or Lowe's, with exception of the clear ones. And the clear ones you can go to like Joann Fabrics and buy those. So other than that, we have the zippers and the binding and all that stuff. Nothing here is out of the ordinary. This is all stuff that you can buy at most any local place, with the exception of these punches for the specialty fasteners and fittings. And those, I'm going to show you where we can get those things too. There's several different manufacturers out there of these things. You can go online and look up Common Sense Fastener and find the tool, or Lift the Dot Fastener, as a matter of fact, and buy the tool. So, and that's it for the tools. So as you can see from that little walkthrough, that's the reality of what I have in here and what I do. If you have a spare bedroom or a garage or any place, I would say you need a 4 foot by 8 foot workstation. You can make everything that I make with that much space. So you don't need these big old tables that I have here. You just need to have the room right in front of your sewing machine. You can use a floor for a layup table. That's just the way it works. That's how you're going to get going with it. So anyways, that's my shop. Good luck. Remember to subscribe. Talk to you later.